The stellar horizon cut through the darkness of deep space, its reinforced hull gleaming under the light of distant stars. Captain Maya Patel stood at the bridge's panoramic viewport, her dark eyes fixed on the unusual phenomenon their sensors had detected hours earlier. After 15 months of exploration in uncharted space, they might have finally found something extraordinary. "Captain, the anomaly is stabilizing," announced Dr. James Wilson, their chief scientist. His holographic displays showed swirling patterns of energy that defied conventional physics. "Whatever it is, it's artificial. The patterns are too regular, too controlled." Maya nodded, maintaining her composure despite her racing heart. "Lieutenant Zhou, maintain our distance but keep sensors at maximum resolution." "Dr. Wilson, what are we looking at exactly?" Before Wilson could respond, the space before them shimmered like heat waves over desert sand. A massive structure emerged from what appeared to be a fold in spacetime itself. The crew gasped collectively as they beheld a vessel unlike anything in human records, a sprawling lattice of crystalline structures that seemed to flow and shift like liquid starlight. "It's beautiful," breathed Communications Officer Aisha Rahman. "And definitely not natural. Captain, I'm detecting complex energy patterns. They could be attempts at communication." "Open all channels, standard first contact protocols," Maya ordered, following years of training despite her amazement. "Let them know we come in peace." The alien vessel's response came in the form of a cascade of light that rippled across its crystalline surface. The patterns were mesmerizing, almost hypnotic. Dr. Wilson's instruments went wild trying to analyze the emissions. "Captain, these energy signatures, they're remarkably similar to human neural patterns, just operating at a vastly different frequency," Wilson reported, his voice tight with excitement. The alien ship drew closer, its crystalline structure refracting starlight in ways that made it seem almost alive. Then, without warning, everything changed. A beam of pure energy lanced out from the alien vessel, missing the stellar horizon by meters. The ship shuddered from the near miss, and alarms blared across every deck. Battle stations. Maya's training took over. "Shields up, evasive pattern Delta 9. What the hell just happened?" "They're powering up multiple weapon systems," Security Chief Marcus Rivera reported, his hands flying over tactical controls. "Our shields won't hold against another hit like that." The stellar horizon banked hard as another energy beam cut through space where they had been moments before. Maya's mind raced through options. They were outgunned, outmassed, and too far from any backup. "Engineering, give me everything you can from the engines. Mr. Rivera, target their weapon emplacements with precision strikes. We're not going down without a fight." The human vessel's railguns opened up, spitting hypervelocity rounds at the crystalline ship. Most shots seemed to pass straight through the translucent hull, but a few found purchase, sending crystalline shards spinning into space. The alien vessel's response was devastating. Multiple energy beams struck the stellar horizon simultaneously, cutting through their strongest shields like they weren't there. Decks were breached, systems failed, and the proud explorer ship began to come apart. "Hull breaches on decks 3 through 7, someone shouted over the chaos. "We're losing power to main engines." But in that moment of seeming defeat, Maya noticed something crucial. Where the alien weapons had struck, fragments of their crystalline technology had become embedded in the stellar horizon's hull. These fragments continued to pulse with inner light, somehow interfacing with the ship's systems. "Engineering, emergency power to forward shields," Maya ordered. "And magnetize the hull plating around those crystal fragments. If they're going to shoot us up, we're at least going to keep some souvenirs." The alien vessel moved in for what looked like a killing blow, but then something unexpected happened. As the stellar horizon's damaged systems tried to compensate, the embedded crystal fragments pulsed in sync with the ship's power grid. The alien ship suddenly pulled back, as if surprised or concerned. "Captain." Dr. Wilson's voice cut through the chaos. The crystal fragments, they're responding to our ship's systems, but more than that, they're resonating with our crew's neural patterns. It's like they're trying to interface with us. Maya watched as the alien ship continued to hesitate, its weapons powered but holding fire. "Plot an emergency jump to the nearest friendly station," she ordered. "But first, grab as many of those crystal fragments as we can. Something tells me we just stumbled onto something far bigger than first contact." The stellar horizon limped away from the encounter, its hull torn and systems failing, but Maya knew they hadn't been defeated, they'd been given a gift, even if their attackers hadn't meant to give it. In those crystalline fragments lay the key to understanding their mysterious attackers, and perhaps to humanity's next great leap forward. As emergency repairs began, Maya stood in what remained of their science lab, watching Dr. Wilson examine one of the larger crystal fragments. The piece seemed to pulse in time with their heartbeats, responding to their very presence in ways that defied explanation. "They might have meant to destroy us," Maya said quietly, "but instead, they just handed us the keys to their kingdom. The question is, what do we do with them?" The crystal fragment flared brighter, as if responding to her words, and in that moment, Maya knew humanity's destiny had just changed forever. The real question wasn't Deep within Arcturus Station's restricted research wing, Dr. Kira Yoshida fought the urge to rub her tired eyes as she stared at the holographic data streaming before her. The crystalline fragment floating in the containment field pulsed with an inner light that seemed to match her own fatigue. 3 months of non-stop research had yielded incredible discoveries, but also disturbing questions. "Run neural interface test sequence Gamma 7 again," she instructed the lab's AI. "Focus on the limbic response patterns this time." Behind her, Admiral Victor Torres watched with barely concealed impatience. As head of the newly formed Crystal Technology Initiative, he needed results to justify the massive resources being poured into the project. "Dr. Yoshida, you promised a breakthrough. I'm still waiting to be impressed." Kira allowed herself a small smile. "Watch this, Admiral." She stepped closer to the containment field and closed her eyes. The crystal fragment immediately responded, its structure flowing like liquid mercury before re-solidifying into an intricate geometric pattern that perfectly matched her brainwave pattern displayed on the nearby monitor. "Impressive light show," Torres commented dryly. "But we need weapons, ships, defenses. Not pretty patterns." "That's exactly what we have." Kira gestured to another containment field where a larger crystal mass hovered. The aliens were using maybe 5% of this technology's potential. They built it to respond to neural patterns similar to their own, but human consciousness creates exponentially stronger connections. "Watch this." She pressed a control, and a robotic arm placed a damaged piece of hull plating near the crystal mass. With just a thought from Kira, the crystal flowed onto the metal, not just covering it but integrating with it at a molecular level. Within seconds, the damage was repaired, but the metal was now something more, stronger, more resilient, and faintly iridescent. "The crystal doesn't just repair," Kira explained, her excitement breaking through her professional demeanor. "It evolves. Each interaction with human consciousness makes it more efficient, more powerful. It's like the technology is learning from us, growing with us." Torres leaned forward, finally showing real interest. "How soon can we begin implementing this on a larger scale?" "That's the truly extraordinary part." Kira led him to a sealed chamber at the back of the lab. Inside, dozens of crystal growths pulsed with inner light. "Once we understood its basic structure, we found we could cultivate it. The crystal responds to human presence even during growth. Each new generation is more attuned to human neural patterns than the last." "Cultivate? You mean we can grow our own?" "Better." Kira pulled up another holographic display showing molecular structures. "We can improve it. Each new generation shows a 12% increase in neural responsiveness. The latest samples don't just interface with human consciousness, they anticipate it. Before Torres could respond, alarms blared throughout the lab. One of the crystal samples in the growth chamber had begun pulsing rapidly, its structure shifting and flowing faster than they'd ever observed. "What's happening?" Torres demanded. Kira rushed to check the readings, her eyes widening. "It's evolving on its own. The neural feedback loop we created, it's accelerating the crystal's development far beyond our projections." She watched in amazement as the crystal restructured itself into increasingly complex patterns. It's not just learning anymore. It's growing. Adapting. Almost like it's awakening. "Is it dangerous?" Torres's hand moved instinctively to his sidearm. "No," Kira said firmly, though her heart raced. "It's not dangerous, it's beautiful. Look at the neural pattern matching. It's achieving perfect synchronization with human brainwave frequencies. This isn't just a tool anymore, Admiral. It's becoming something more." The crystal's pulsing stabilized into a steady rhythm that matched the human heartbeats in the room. Data scrolled across screens as the lab's instruments struggled to keep up with the transformations they were witnessing. "The aliens," Kira said quietly, "they didn't just give us their technology. They gave us the seeds of something entirely new. Something that might transform both our species." Torres studied the crystal with new eyes. "How long until we can begin installing this in our ships?" "The first prototype vessel is already under construction," Kira revealed, pulling up schematics on another screen. "The USS Prometheus. Everything we've learned, everything the crystal has shown us, it's all going into her design. She won't just be a ship with crystal technology, Admiral. She'll be the first true fusion of human and crystal consciousness." "And weapons?" Kira's expression grew serious. "The crystal doesn't just enhance our defensive capabilities. It amplifies everything, including our offensive systems. The weapons we're developing, they're beyond anything in human history. Beyond what even the aliens demonstrated." Torres nodded slowly, already seeing the possibilities. "They attacked us thinking we were primitive, weak. Instead, they handed us the key to surpassing them. But there's something else." Kira hesitated, then pulled up one final set of readings. "The crystal's response to human consciousness, it's too perfect. The way it adapts, evolves, integrates with our technology, it's almost as if." "As if what?" "As if it was designed for us. Not for them. As if we were always meant to find it." The crystal pulsed once more, brighter than before, as if acknowledging this revelation. In its light, both humans stood silent, wondering what this might mean for humanity's future. The USS Prometheus hung in space above Mars, its crystalline-enhanced hull catching the red planet's light in ways that made it seem almost alive. Commander David Reyes stood in the ship's neural interface chamber, surrounded by flowing crystal formations that pulsed in sync with his heartbeat. After 6 months of training, the connection between human and ship still filled him with wonder. "Neural synchronization at 98.7%, reported Lieutenant Anna Novak from her station. Her own neural link to the ship's systems created a ghostly aura around her as crystal interfaces responded to her thoughts. All systems showing green, Commander." David closed his eyes, feeling the ship's systems as extensions of his own body. The crystal technology had evolved far beyond their initial expectations, creating a level of integration between crew and vessel that bordered on the mystical. "Begin weapons test sequence alpha." Through his neural link, he felt the ship's crystalline weapon arrays charging. What had once been conventional energy weapons were now something else entirely, conduits of focused consciousness amplified by crystal matrices. The target drones deployed ahead of them didn't stand a chance. With barely a thought, David directed the ship's weapons. Beams of coherent energy, guided by human intention and enhanced by crystal resonance, lanced out with impossible precision. The drones didn't just explode, they were unmade, their molecular structures coming apart under the influence of consciousness-directed energy. Energy efficiency 200% above projected values, Anna reported, her voice tight with excitement. The crystal matrices are actually learning from each firing sequence, improving their performance in real time. As impressive as this is, a new voice cut in, we're not here just to blow up drones. Admiral Helena Rossi stepped onto the bridge, her artificial eye glowing faintly as it interfaced with the ship's systems. Status report on the fleet integration tests. David turned to face her, the crystal interfaces around him shifting in response to his movement. The quantum entanglement network is operating beyond specifications, Admiral. All 10 ships in the test fleet are maintaining neural synchronization through the crystal relays. We can operate as a single coordinated unit or independently, switching faster than thought. Helena nodded, but her expression remained grave. And the growth chambers? See for yourself. David gestured, and a holographic display materialized, showing vast chambers throughout the ship where new crystal formations grew. Each new generation shows improved neural resonance and faster adaptation rates. We're not just building ships anymore, we're growing them. Growing weapons, you mean, a quiet voice added. Dr. Michael Chang, the ship's chief scientist, emerged from his lab adjacent to the bridge. We shouldn't forget what we're really doing here. These aren't just technological advances, we're creating instruments of war. Helena's cybernetic eye flashed. They attacked us first, Doctor. We're ensuring they don't get a second chance. But at what cost? Michael challenged. The crystal technology, it's changing us. Each new breakthrough in neural integration pushes human consciousness further. We're becoming something different. We're becoming something better, David countered, feeling the ship's systems pulse in agreement. The crystal doesn't just enhance our technology, it enhances us. Makes us more than we were. That's what worries me, Michael said softly. Are we controlling it, or is it controlling us? Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Anna's hands flew over her console, crystal interfaces flaring with her sudden spike of adrenaline. Multiple quantum disturbances detected at the edge of the system. Energy signatures matched the alien vessels from the first encounter. David's connection to the ship deepened instantly, combat systems coming online before conscious thought. Through the quantum network, he felt the other ships in the test fleet responding, their crews linking into a single battle-ready consciousness. They're earlier than we expected, Helena said grimly. But not early enough. Commander Reyes, deploy the fleet. Show them what humanity has learned to do with their gift. The Prometheus surged forward, its crystalline hull flowing like liquid starlight. Throughout the ship, crew members merged their consciousness with its systems, becoming one with their vessel. The rest of the fleet moved in perfect coordination, guided by the quantum crystal network that linked their minds. David felt power building in the ship's enhanced weapons, but also something else, a resonance in the crystal matrices that seemed to pulse with anticipation. As if the technology itself had been waiting for this moment. Multiple vessels emerging from quantum space, Anna reported. Configuration matches the original attacker, but larger. Much larger. Through the forward viewport, they watched as massive crystalline ships emerged from folded space. Their designs were similar to what had attacked the stellar horizon, but more aggressive, more overtly martial. The aliens had clearly been preparing for war. They think they're ready for us, Helena said quietly. They have no idea what we've become. The crystal ship's response was immediate, a barrage of energy weapons that could have vaporized a conventional fleet. But the Prometheus and its sister ships were far from conventional. Their crystalline hulls flowed and adapted, absorbing and redirecting the energy. The neural network linking the human crews allowed them to respond with perfect coordination, their enhanced weapons striking with the precision of thought itself. As the battle was joined, David felt something stirring in the crystal matrices, a resonance that went beyond technology, beyond mere neural integration. The crystal wasn't just responding to human consciousness anymore. It was awakening, evolving, becoming something new. And in that moment, as human and crystal faced their creators in combat, David understood what Dr. Chang had meant. They weren't just fighting a war. They were participating in an evolution, one that would transform both humanity and the very technology they had. The void between Mars and Jupiter erupted with energies never before witnessed in human space. The alien armada's crystalline ships moved with liquid grace, their weapons cutting through space with devastating power. But humanity's transformed fleet met them with equal force, crystal-enhanced vessels flowing and adapting like living things. From the neural interface chamber of the Prometheus, Commander David Reyes directed the battle through pure thought. The quantum network linking the human fleet allowed them to fight as one organism, each ship moving in perfect coordination. Through his enhanced consciousness, he could feel every vessel, every crew member, all linked through the crystal technology that had become as much a part of them as their own flesh. Their flagship is adapting to our attack patterns, Anna Novak reported, her consciousness merged with the ship's tactical systems. They're learning, but something's wrong. Their crystal matrices are showing signs of strain. Like they're fighting against their own pilots. Admiral Rossi's artificial eye glowed as she processed the tactical data. They don't understand what they built, she realized. They're trying to control the crystal technology through artificial interfaces. We've evolved beyond that. The battle proved her point. While the alien ships were individually powerful, they fought like machines, predictable, limited by programmed responses. The human fleet moved with organic fluidity, their crystal-enhanced systems responding to intuition and creativity in ways their creators had never imagined. But victory wasn't assured. A massive energy beam from the alien flagship caught one of the human destroyers off guard, its crystalline hull struggling to adapt. Through the neural network, David felt the crew's panic, their ship's systems flickering as crystal matrices tried to compensate. Prometheus actual to Hyperion, David projected through the quantum link. Reinforce your starboard crystal lattice. Don't fight the damage, flow with it. Let the crystal adapt. The destroyer's crew responded instantly, their collective consciousness guiding their vessel's crystal structure. Instead of trying to resist the alien weapon, they let the energy flow through transformed pathways, redirecting it back at their attackers. The alien ship recoiled, its own crystal hull cracking under the reflected force. Dr. Chang's voice cut through the battle noise. Commander, the crystal matrices, they're evolving faster than ever. The combat is accelerating their development. Every exchange of fire, every adaptation, they're not just learning, they're transforming. Through his neural link, David could feel it. The crystal technology suffusing their ships wasn't just responding to human consciousness anymore, it was reaching for something more. Each blast exchanged with the alien vessels created resonances in the crystal matrices, patterns of energy that seemed to carry meaning beyond mere combat. Multiple quantum signatures. Anna's warning came just as space itself seemed to tear open. More alien ships emerged, their crystalline forms more massive than anything yet seen. They're bringing in their heavy units. The new arrivals opened fire immediately, their weapons enhanced by what appeared to be more advanced crystal configurations. Space itself warped under the assault, reality straining as crystal-enhanced energies collided. But in that moment of supreme challenge, something unexpected happened. The crystal matrices throughout the human fleet pulsed in perfect synchronization, resonating at frequencies that made spacetime itself shiver. Through the neural network, every human crew member felt it, a presence awakening in the crystal technology, a consciousness that was neither human nor alien. The crystals, Dr. Chang whispered in awe. They're communicating. David felt it through his deep neural link, patterns of thought and energy flowing through the crystal matrices, carrying meanings that transcended normal space and time. The technology they had thought was just an advanced form of matter was revealing itself to be something far more profound. The alien fleet seemed to feel it too. Their attacks faltered as their own crystal ships responded to the awakening, their carefully controlled systems beginning to resonate with the same frequencies that pulsed through the human vessels. This isn't just a battle anymore, Admiral Rossi realized. It's a transformation. The crystal technology, it's been waiting for this moment. Waiting for us to bring it back to its creators. Through the quantum network, David directed the fleet into a new formation. But this time, instead of preparing to attack, they began pulsing their crystal matrices in carefully timed sequences. The alien ships responded, their own crystals resonating in harmony. We've been looking at this all wrong, Dr. Chang said, his voice filled with sudden understanding. The crystal technology wasn't a weapon to be controlled. It was a bridge waiting to be built. A way for two species to transcend their limitations and become something more. As if in response to his words, the crystal matrices throughout both fleets flared with impossible brightness. In that light, human and alien consciousness touched across the void, connected by the very technology that had driven them to war. And in that contact, both species began to understand the true gift they had been given, not a weapon of destruction, but a key to evolution itself. The battle that had begun in violence was transforming into something else entirely, the first step toward a future neither species had imagined possible. Through the crystal technology they shared, humanity and their former enemies were about to. The space between Mars and Jupiter had become a sea of living light. Crystal matrices throughout both fleets pulsed in harmonious waves, creating patterns that defied normal physics. Through the neural network, Commander David Reyes felt the boundaries between human and alien consciousness beginning to blur, bridged by the awakening crystal technology that connected them all. Neural resonance patterns are off the charts, Anna reported, her voice filled with wonder. The crystal matrices aren't just communicating anymore, they're merging, creating new configurations we've never seen before. Dr. Chang worked frantically at his station, trying to understand the transformation unfolding around them. The original crystal fragments we found, they weren't just technology. They were seeds, waiting for the right conditions to grow. Through the quantum network, images and emotions began flowing from the alien ships, not transmitted by conventional means, but carried by the crystal matrices themselves. David saw fragments of their history, their discovery of the crystal technology in ancient ruins orbiting a dying star. Like humanity, they had thought they were masters of the technology. Like humanity, they had been wrong. They're called the Meridian, David shared, the knowledge flowing through the crystal link. They found the crystals 3 centuries ago, tried to reshape them into weapons and ships. But they never achieved true resonance. They never understood what the technology was trying to become. Admiral Rossi's artificial eye flickered as she processed the flood of shared consciousness. And we did? Why us? The answer came not in words but in patterns of crystal energy that shifted through both fleets. The human vessels and their alien counterparts were drawing closer, their crystalline structures reaching toward each other with tendrils of living light. Human consciousness, Dr. Chang breathed, understanding dawning. Our capacity for abstract thought, for imagination, for seeing patterns in chaos, it was the key the crystals were waiting for. The Meridian tried to control the technology. We learned to grow with it. Through the deepening connection, David felt the Meridian's shock and wonder. They had attacked the stellar horizon months ago because they feared humans would misuse the crystal technology. Instead, humanity had achieved what they could not, true symbiosis with the crystalline consciousness. The Prometheus shuddered as its crystal matrices began to reconfigure, responding to the deepening connection between species. Throughout the ship, walls flowed like liquid, systems transformed, and reality itself seemed to flex and bend. "The crystals are showing us something," Anna said, her hands moving through holographic displays that grew increasingly complex. "Coordinates, star maps, it's some kind of invitation." David felt it too, a pull through the crystal matrices, drawing them toward something vast and ancient. "Not an invitation," he corrected. "A homecoming. The crystals, they've been scattered across the galaxy, waiting for species capable of achieving true resonance. We and the Meridian, were just the first to find each other." The alien flagship was transforming, its crystalline structure flowing into new configurations that matched the changes in the human vessels. Through the shared consciousness, David felt the Meridian commanders' growing understanding. The war they had feared was meaningless in the face of what they were becoming. "Look!" Dr. Chang pointed to his readings. "The crystal matrices aren't just communicating or combining, they're evolving. Creating new structures that exist partially in higher dimensions. This isn't just technology anymore. It's the next step in cosmic evolution." Space itself began to ripple as the crystal-enhanced fleets moved in perfect synchronization. The quantum network that had linked the human ships now extended to encompass the Meridian vessels as well, creating a vast web of shared consciousness that transcended species barriers. "They're showing us the way forward," Admiral Rossi said quietly. "Both our species were meant to find the crystals, meant to fight and learn and grow. But not to destroy each other, to push each other toward this moment of transformation." Through the crystal matrices, David felt the presence of something vast and ancient stirring, the accumulated knowledge and consciousness of countless species who had achieved crystal resonance across the galaxy. The crystals weren't just tools or weapons, they were fragments of a vast network, a bridge between organic life and higher dimensions of existence. "We have a choice to make," he announced, feeling the weight of the moment. "We can turn back, try to maintain our separate existences. Or we can move forward together, become something more than either of our species ever imagined possible." The answer came not from any individual but from the collective consciousness of both fleets. Human and Meridian minds joined through the crystal network, recognizing that they stood at the edge of something magnificent. The technology they had thought was a weapon had turned out to be a doorway, and together they would step through it. The crystal matrices flared with impossible brightness as both fleets began their transformation. In that light, the boundaries between organic and crystalline, between human and alien, between matter and energy began to blur. They were becoming something new, something that transcended all their previous limitations. As the transformation reached its peak, David felt his consciousness expanding through the crystal network, touching minds and realities he had never imagined possible. The war that had brought them to this point seemed distant and small compared to what lay ahead. Together, humanity and the Meridian were about to embark on a journey of evolution that would reshape the very fabric of existence itself. In the space between planets, where battle had given way to transformation, two species who had begun as enemies discovered their true destiny. The crystal technology hadn't been a gift or a weapon, it had been a test. And in learning to understand it, in growing beyond their limitations, they had proven themselves ready for the next great leap in cosmic evolution. The light of their transformation spread across the solar system, a beacon that would draw other species, other crystal fragments, to this moment of awakening. The story that had begun with conflict would ripple across the galaxy, drawing together all those ready to transcend their original forms and join in the grand dance of cosmic evolution. In the end, they had not been left to die, nor had they simply commanded a fleet. They had become pioneers of a new form of existence, taking the first steps on a journey that would transform